Hey, that's neither here nor there. We're going to get into it. Will, we got to start talking about it. And I know you're licking your chops for this, Will. This is the part that really excites you because we're talking roster talk. We're talking what could possibly happen. Let's get right into it. Roster talk. Is it time to recalibrate or to rebuild in Washington? Will, I'm going to come to you. Recalibrate. I like that word, and our coach was using that.
That's exactly what. Yeah. Dan Quinn at his press conference said, I don't use the word rebuild, or he wouldn't even say the other word of rebuild. I think he's like, we are going to be recalibrating here, which that just makes fans like you and me and other folks that do this kind of, well, wait a minute, start speculating. What does he mean by that? Like, what is he saying? Like, they're going to flip this, we're going to spend all $80 million this offseason and they're going to flip this roster? Are they thinking that they want to make the playoffs next year? Is this not going to be a slow rebuild? So it's got people talking by him saying that, which makes these types of discussions a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And look, that's honestly, when you go through the regular season, you start. Yeah, I saw that Minshew Mania crap. Yeah, Bizador. When you go through the regular season and you have your roster, it's funny because throughout the season you're always like, oh well, there's a hole. There's a hole right there. We could address that. So it's almost, you don't wish to be in this position or to have to deal with this. But with what we've been dealing with, this is why we love this so much, because up until this point, hopefully, we have not addressed those holes. So through the season, we're always like, we need a linebacker. We need secondary. As most of y'all think, we need a quarterback. So I love right now, because right now, nothing's in stone. Everything's in front of us. We have all the money. We're the league leader in the cap space. This is, I'm just licking my chops. Like, well, I can go this way. I can go that way. Mm-hmm. I can do whatever we want to do. And that to me is exciting. It's very exciting. But should I be cautiously optimistic, Will?
Yeah, probably. Without a doubt, because, the general manager, Adam Peters, did say that they were going to build, or that he believes that building a roster comes through the draft. And he believes that free agency is used to supplement in here and there. And if you look at what San Francisco did, they spent when they felt necessary. They spent on Javon Hargrave. I always mess that guy's name up. So it's not that they're not willing to go get someone. Think about how they made trades for Christian McCaffrey. So they're willing to be aggressive for guys, but they recognize that the draft is where you're really going to get your team capital, which is good because, obviously it's a less expensive way of building a roster. And what makes this time fun is the stuff like you said, where you notice the holes. So like we can finally stop hearing about you complaining how we should have drafted Cody Mauch, because they have a chance to right the wrong and fix that hole at left guard that you could have had, or left tackle, or right tackle, or center. You name him. He could have played any of those positions.
Position flex? Yes, absolutely.
See, now that is a phrase we can throw out the window.
Yes.
Ron's no longer here.
Oh, God, no. I will never forget or forgive for not getting Cody Mauch, because it wasn't like they missed him all the way down the line. No, it was one pick in front. Pick in front.
How about this, though? This may make you feel better. There were two players mentioned by our coordinators in their coordinator press conference. One's name was Emmanuel Forbes. The other one was Quan Martin. So Joe Witt Jr. said, oh, yeah, we like those guys. We like Quan coming out of college. So I know you're still really upset that we don't have Cody Mauch on the roster. But our new coaches saw something in Quan. And we said it months ago when we talked about who was the best pick of the draft. Quan Martin was our best pick. And he may turn out to be something. So let's be optimistic, Sean. Drink the Kool-Aid.
Still waiting. Meanwhile, I'm still waiting on Jamin Davis to have that meteoric rise that you said. Who knows?
I need to see the tape. I need to see the tape if I said that. I probably did.
Yo, but Will, so before we get into actually breaking this down position by position, let's kind of look at where we are, with cap space and all that type of stuff. Me Store said you have 70 plus mil before the increase, but that's also before.
What are you talking about? Only
Yeah, like right,
That's a
only.
lot.
But that's all before we make some of these potential moves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if we make some of these cuts, as you will see right here, you got Curtis Samuel, Jacoby Brissett, Cornelius Lucas, Tyler Larson, Antonio Gibson, Jamison Crowder, Will's favorite Byron Pringle,
No, so
Will's
good.
other favorite Alex Arma,
Oh, yeah.
Sadiq Charles, and Brandon Dillon.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of the guy.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah,
the exception of him,
so these are all our pending free agents. This is what's kind of going into that 70 million as well. And essentially could be, some folks, if we feel like that are necessary to be re-signed. They wouldn't be any like the cut, they're not the couple cuts like Leno or Logan Thomas that are very popular among fans right now. But yeah, these are some of the folks that, Gibson's a big time name. We got to think about, is he worth this new regime? Curtis Samuel, does he fit into what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do? Cliff hasn't always had tall receivers, so does Samuel actually fit in with that? Kind of some things. And Lucas, can we get rid of Cornelius Lucas? How many times does he come in and start a couple games? Kind of important.
Right. Exactly. And that's something that I think we really have to look at. And it's very easy to kind of take it just by, here's a spreadsheet. Let's mark this guy off. Oh, look at the cat we got. But like to your point, and how I felt earlier in the season, you know what I mean? But to your point, a lot of fans are kind of involved and they're kind of, growing into these guys. But the thing about it, when you look at Lucas, you look at Larson, obviously Larson with the injury issues, both of them going on 33, and Sadiq's younger, but I mean, with Cosme, we know at least that's one person we definitely want to keep. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but is age a factor in here? The number of guys that are 30 and above. So go ahead.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, by all means. I mean, the nice thing about this is obviously Curtis Samuel is the biggest one that is a pending free agent, biggest impact player, so that's a big deal. But if you look at the rest of the list, those aren't guys that other teams are looking at going, yeah, I want that guy. The way we've got some names we want from other teams. They're not sitting here going, oh yeah, we got to get Tyler Larson to be our backup center. That's going to be the key to next season. So that the nice thing is the folks that are the players that are pending free agents probably not going to be that big of a loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, yeah, I look at this list and I'm trying to find somebody that I'm like this is Ron. These seem like Ron's guys.
Sure.
Like this entire list, you got Samuel, you got Lucas, Larson, Gibson, Brissett, Crowder. Like these are Ron's guys. And for me, I mean, I guess if it fits in one of their systems, maybe we'll see. But I wouldn't have a problem if we let go of them all.
There's not a single person on that list.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we got to bring. Now, there's a name not on here. I'm so kind of surprised. It's Kendall Fuller.
Yeah.
So, we'll get into the corners, and I don't know what the other team is, the new regime's going to be thinking about him. I think that the difference between, is it a recalibrate or is it a rebuild? When looking at this roster, we don't know is our coaching staff, all that years of experience on offense with Kingsbury and Anthony Lynn. When you're looking at on defense with Ken Norton Jr., with Joe Witt, with Pagano, all that experience is looking at our current roster right now and deciding who is going to be some building blocks. So when they talk about recalibrate, what we don't know is we look at positions that didn't play well last year that we need to improve. Those are pretty glaring. Offensive line, secondary, linebackers. But what we don't know is with what scheme they're going to be bringing in here. Do we have players in-house that fit that? Where they're looking at going, I can do something with that guy. Right. Like a Quan Martin. Does Quan Martin fit into what Dan Quinn wants to do? Or are they too saying, we have got to plug this hole. This hole is big.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And we're gonna get into this.